All right, so yeah, we'll get, I like the white ball for this. You can actually use any ball that you like. We're just gonna go up and down the spine to just get started. So this is the Somatics for the trunk class, and I'm really excited about it because it's so important to have um, all of these things worked out, right? I mean, like we have, our bodies are just full of, different holdings and injuries and um, we do so much with our bodies and then we just expect them to work properly and be contortionists. So, so, so let's do the things that we need to actually put our bodies back together. And yeah, I think that that'll really help us be more bendy and get further into our poses. So you can like ask any questions. If you feel like your space is kind of like more quiet, you can just leave your volume or your mute. You can stay unmuted. If you feel like you have more loud things going on, you can mute yourself and just unmute whenever you have a question. Yeah, I suggest just asking any questions when you have a chance to, and also being as present as you can in your body for this, especially for this day, because we really need that intense body awareness to be able to feel into this stuff. This is all about body awareness, okay? So we'll begin with the white ball, and let's start with it. Get just kind of mid back, and you can have your elbows on the ground. And we're just gonna like turn to the side and then turn to the other side. And then scoot yourself just the tiniest bit towards the head direction. Turn to the side with your knees just point 45 degree. Your legs go into a 45-degree angle, your knees point to the side, and then just scoot yourself down your spine just a little bit. Again, just moving. So keep going with this pattern and feel into it. So we have noticed how your tendency to move is. My tendency to move is fast, and so I kind of like, whenever I'm doing self-care, that's like my opportunity to slow it down. And then we're coming all the way to the sacrum, and then you can slowly roll your spine back onto the ground. And then from here, with the ball underneath the sacrum, we're just gonna sway the hips from side to side. Nice and slow, steady, smooth breaths in and out of your nose, and gliding your hips from side to side. Feeling that connection between the myofascial ball, or whatever ball, and your tissue, and just kind of noticing in maybe to a more subtle level, a more subtle layer. And now we'll start to take the feet away from the hips to straighten out the legs a little bit, and then bend your knees to drag yourself back towards a seated position. So the ball slides up into the center of your back again. Now we're gonna take the hands behind the head, and we're scooting ourselves in the foot direction as we side to side. So glide the ball towards like underneath your shoulder blade, and then glide it back to the center. Glide it under your shoulder blade, and then back to the center, and keep scooting in your foot direction. Gliding across that spot that we were just talking about, actually, just as long as it feels comfortable. Remember that the ways that you can tell, so now we're just gonna go up and down like this, and you're gonna stop in any areas that feel like they need more presence and make circles. Yeah? So the way that you can tell if you shouldn't be pushing into an area is if it feels like that feeling like you got cut, like that feeling like I just got cut, or I just like sprained something, or I just like really injured something. It's that raw feeling, right? If it feels raw like that, we don't want to push into it. if it feels like, wow, I really should, like it almost feels like it's screaming at you, like in a high-pitched voice, then stop and back away. And we just keep finding the spots that really need some more attention, and we just make some circles or do some glides from side to side. And let's really just feel the melting of the body on top of the ball. Finding the spots. You'll know what the spot is by like, oh, that hurts so good, right? And you can make circles with your body underneath the ball. I like to get it under like kind of my shoulder blade area and then just start to make some circles, because that's where I have tension from sitting at a desk. You guys, I can't even believe I sit at a desk all the time. It's so weird. And then let's get up into, so start to make your way up towards your shoulders. And then we're taking the ball towards the top of the shoulder, like right beside your neck. And then you can kind of make some swipes. You can go in the direction of the neck and then slide in the direction of the hips, right on the side of your spine, right on the side of your neck. This ball is great, the myofascial ball is great because you can actually go on your spine and it's fine. But let's go to the other side, and we'll just stay to the side of the spine for a moment. Maybe up and down that upper thoracic towards the cervical vertebrae, towards the neck. And then let's go ahead and just go to the center here, the top vertebrae, right in the neck, with your fingers interlaced behind your head, and your feet really are close to your hips. Okay, now push your feet into the ground and start to roll the ball down your spine, lifting your chest, lifting your arms up, your chin towards your chest. And then bend your knees again, and so now we're just rolling the ball up and down the spine. And just see if you can notice some of the little tweaks going on in your body, just presence, full presence inside of your body to get a feeling for what's going on in there. All right, and let's roll on up to forward fold, removing the block. So this somatics that we're getting ready to do, it really requires a lot of like tapping into the internal felt sense. So I just really encourage you to take as much time as you can to just feel into each of these movements. Do them as slow as you can. I know that sounds hard. It's hard for aerialists and acrobats to do that. But we got this. We can do it. Okay, so we're gonna lay on our backs. We're gonna cross the left leg over. And let's have our arms down by our sides, like maybe at a V shape next to the hips. And we're gonna take a nice deep breath and just feel the connection of the sacrum with the ground. And then on your next exhale, start to lower your knees down towards the ground, feeling that stretch through your body. Slowly, slowly now, inhaling to lift the knees back up, and we're just noticing everything that's happening. So all the shifts that are occurring throughout the body, especially in the spine. On your exhale, then taking the knees down to the left. The left knee's crossed over, and we're coming down to the left. Usually we go the other way, so I know this might be a little confusing. And then we inhale to bring it back up. We're gonna do 3 more like this, really paying attention, and use your own breath pace. Exhaling to go down. Feeling, where do you feel the stretch? Inhaling to come back up. We're also training the mind here to notice. breathing slow, steady, smooth breaths in and out of the nose. All right, so taking now the legs and uncrossing. You'll reach your arms straight up over your shoulders, so straight arms. And we're in steeple, so we've got our palms planted together. And so here, we want to keep the steeple and keep the straight arms as we take ourselves to the right side. So keep everything the same. Keep your whole lower body still. And then take your arms to the right. Your head is going to look to the right. Your shoulder's going to lift up off the ground. And then you're going to come back up to stack. And we're just really noticing all of the little nuances that are happening here. So on your next exhale, again, lowering yourself down to the right, looking to the right. And then inhaling to come back up. And it takes a little bit to do this. Just notice the strength that it takes. On your exhales, 3 more, moving to the right and looking to the right with the eyes and the head. Nice and slow. Keep that posture. Keep refining the posture. Really beautiful. Just moving with your own breath pace. No rush. This is a chance to just ground into some really slow movement. All right. And now, again, we take the left leg and we cross it over the right leg. This time, our arms are by our sides to start with, but we're gonna move the legs to the left. And then once we do that, the right arm lifts up overhead and reaches, and we look over to the right. And just feel that deep, deep stretch. Stretch as deeply as you can, and then we're gonna bring it back to the starting position. Inhaling, or exhaling to go into the twist. So exhaling to take the legs to the left, and then the right arm comes up and we're looking to the right with the head and the eyes. And then inhaling to come back to the starting position. 3 more like this, just noticing the nuances of what's happening here. Really, really reaching. Noticing the feeling between your ribs. Noticing the feeling in your hips. And then coming back up. So 2 more at your own pace. Make sure you're going really slow. And then we uncross. Plant your feet into the ground. So we've got the strong connection with the feet in the ground here. We cross with the right leg over. Now we're just keeping the arms in the same position and taking the legs down to the right. Noticing how different this side feels than the other side. Inhaling the legs back up. Exhaling down, feeling into the side body as it really stretches. Inhaling slowly back up. Noticing the musculature that has to engage as you're doing this. 3 more. Exhaling down. As you're coming back up, just see what's firing. We really want to make sure that that it's natural, right? Everything's moving in a proper sequence. So there's core activation first, and then there's movement, and then there's engagement through the rest of the body. All right. When you are complete, then you'll uncross your leg, and now we're moving into a steeple, and we're going, so hands stacked over shoulders, and we're going to the left side. So arms come left, we're looking to the left, and inhaling back up. Noticing how this side feels different. Exhaling down, the shoulder comes up, feeling the side body. And we're gonna do 3 more like this at your own breath pace. Trying to take it really slow and really feel as you stretch and reach through those steeple arms, keeping your arms straight, keeping your palms together. And then again, as we're done with this one, we find the arms by the sides and cross the right leg over the left. This time, we're taking the legs over to the right and then reaching the left arm up overhead, like really, really reaching and looking to the left. And then we're gonna inhale back to the starting position. On the exhale, we reach. And then bring it back to the starting position. 3 more like this, finding as much length as you can through your side body and just allowing the legs to be heavy, 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 and the reach to happen, and feel that whole side body stretch. Notice what activates as you're coming back to the center. Notice the core muscles that are activating here. Nice and slow. And it's not our habit to go slow, so we're also kind of watching the mind as it's like, hey, what are you doing? Okay, so we'll come to uncross. And we'll take the left cross. Oh, not crossing at all, sorry. Arms are in steeple. And we're gonna take the upper body to the right first, and then take the left, the knees to the left. And just feel what this does. So the arms aren't coming down all the way, they're going about halfway. And we're taking the legs the other direction, feeling into this stretch. Just noticing what has to happen in the core. Noticing this kind of spiraling energy. It's like a really interesting twist. And then we inhale and we bring it back up. And then we'll go the other way. First with the arms and then with the legs. And then inhale back up. So we'll do a couple more like this. So take it to the right, knees to the left after the right, arms go down. And then inhale back up. Arms go left, and then keep your palms planted together, and then your knees go. And just notice where you're feeling this in your ribs. So strange. You come back up. Let's do one more round of these. Off to the right, and then legs go second. Keep your palms planted together. Coming back up, and then the last twist. The arms go first, shoulders go first, palms stay planted, and then the legs go down on the other side. Just noticing where you feel this. And we come back up. Excellent. Okay, arms come out to a T shape. Maybe about a hip width distance between your knees. And here, let's just lay for a moment. Feel your back connected to the ground. We're doing some pretty deep level work here, so it feels like we're doing silly things, but really there's a depth to it. So just feel into your tissues for a moment and notice into those sensations. And now we're going to do some strange things. So we're going to roll, not slide, but roll the left arm up. So you're just rolling it on the ground. It's just rolling up. And then let's roll, not slide, the right arm down so that your right shoulder comes up off the ground. Okay, so the left arm is rolled up, so it's like an external rotation. And the right arm is rolled down. And we're going to bring the knees down on the right side. And if your head feels like it wants to look to the left, you can. And now we're going to come back up. Lift the knees, unroll the arms, and bring the head back to the center. Resetting. Let's roll the right arm up. Roll the left arm down, lifting that left shoulder, and then take the knees down on the left side. Maybe the head wants to look to the right. Notice where you feel this. Coming back up on your inhale. Resetting. Again, let's roll that left arm up, roll the right arm down, and take your knees down on the right side. Maybe your head wants to look to the left. And what's happening here in your body? Where do you feel it? Bringing the knees back up on the inhale, resetting. We'll roll the left arm up, roll the right arm up, roll the left arm down, and bring the knees down on the left side. You can look to the right if it feels good. Okay, and then we come in, inhale back to the front. Now, we're gonna do this kind of freestyle a few times. I just want you to be able to feel into this and just notice what's happening in your torso and notice the all the sensations that you can perceive. So notice where it's happening. What is the quality of the sensation? Can you go a little bit further into the twist? All of these different things are things to just kind of play with. So let's do this on our own a couple of times. Remember that the arm that's rolling down, that's the side that the knees go down on, and the head always looks in the opposite direction from the knees. But I want you to be able to go as at whatever pace you want to, and you can take a couple of breaths in each of these if you want to, and just spend some time doing whatever feels really good in your body. It needs to actually feel good for this somatic stuff to work. So that's part of the can you even see me? that's part of the thing here. Make sure it feels really good. So go ahead and get started. Whatever side your knees are going to, that's the side that your arm is rolled down on. Remember, it's an inhale to come up and an exhale to go down. And you don't have to pause in between if you start to feel like you've got the action. You can start to roll all the way through from one side to the other side. Notice how one side does different things than the other side does. Keep your posture correct. We have to sometimes adjust a little bit and bring things back into center, and that's okay. Notice any clicks or pops that are happening. We're opening ourselves up and finding new space in the body for bending. This is going to really help us to up level our game, our yogi contortion game. Because we're working through, I'm sure you can feel there's some tugging and some pulling maybe in different places. And that's like your fascia, that's your tissue. Maybe it's like scar tissue or just patterns of movement that have caused, things to get a little bit tight, tense. And so we'll go for just 2 more breaths. Make sure you're even. You've done an even amount on both sides-ish, whatever that feels like. And then we come back to our T shape with our legs bent. We'll take 1 more breath. And then we're gonna reach for the knees and give yourself a big hug. Squeeze your knees in towards your chest. 1 more breath, and then we can rock and roll up to seated. I need to fix my, I don't want you to be covered by a silly ad. Okay. All right, so we're seated in whatever seated position you like. It could be just crisscross applesauce, or it could be where your lower legs are parallel to each other. Or you could go into half lotus, taking the pinky toe edge of your foot and taking it into the hip crease, or you could full lotus if that's in your practice. So we'll talk about the 7 directions of the spine. The spine goes up and down, right? So we can sit here and pull our shoulders down, and then think about having a really tall spine and reaching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling with a little bit of a chin lock. And also we want to have the head go back in space over top of the spine. So reach your head up. You can reach your palms down towards the sides, right down towards the ground, right beside your hips. So reach your hands down and reach the crown of your head up, up, up. And this traction, this pulling that we're experiencing from taking the spine in 2 directions, up and down, is one of the directions of the spine. So let's take and plant the palm on the ground, and then shifting from the hips. And so the hips shift, and maybe that same side as the hand that's on the ground, hip comes up off the ground a little bit. And then we take the bend all the way up the spine and really opening up through the upper side ribs, like you're trying to push your upper side ribs up towards the corner of the room. And so this is the sideways bending. And then we'll come back up, and then we'll go for the other side, really opening through that upper side ribs. Feel as though that force, that like arrow of force, is really taking your ribs open to the corner. And that's the side bend. So let's do that a couple of more times, feeling into that. So we've talked about 3 of the directions. Awesome, and then we'll come back to the front and we're gonna take the belly button towards the spine. And now we're opening up the back body. Feeling the expansiveness go back, and you can push your hands forward into your knees, or you can grab a hold of your knees and even pull up on them to feel an intensity through the back body opening. There's a crunching through the front body. And then on your inhale, move by taking your hips forward so your pelvic bowl is tilting forward, and then take the bend all the way up your spine, all the way up, but don't include your neck. Let's go ahead and just keep the chin down. Yeah. So now we're spine forward, and you could include your neck, but sometimes that's a little bit, we're not really there. We haven't really done that kind of warm up. So I like to pull on my knees. You can pull your knees back, pull your elbows towards your hips to really force that body to the front body to open, and then feeling your elbows pull towards your hips to feel the back body engage, so that you're really feeling open through the front, engaged through the back. Squeeze your back body, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and relax. Whew. And then we take and cross the body so that the back of the hand is on the knee, palm open, and you can reach behind you to grab the ground behind you for twisting, or you can reach behind your back and see about palm open, taking the back of your hand to some part of your hip or your back body. And then we're twisting, pushing the hand into the knee, and then pushing the other hand in some way that forces the twist to go just a little bit deeper. So now let's do the first stretch, which is lengthening the spine, and then do the twist. Inhale to lengthen your spine, articulating, moving through each little part of the spine, and then twist by pressing your hand into your knee. Look in the direction that you're twisting. One more breath. And inhale, unwinding and coming back to the front. Let's reset. Let's press the palms together. Reach the crown up to the ceiling. Reach your hands down so that you're feeling that length in your spine. Now take your opposite arm across your body, palm open. Reach behind your back. Maybe you're grabbing the ground and pushing in the direction of your front hand, or maybe you're reaching and grabbing some part of your hip and pulling on it with your back hand. But on your inhale, you're lengthening your spine, rippling a wave of movement up your spine, and then on your exhale, you're forcing a twist by using your hands to pressure into the ground or into the knee, wherever you are, or into the hip. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to twist. The twist starts from the base and moves all the way up the spine. So we want that base to be nice and secure, and then we start to move and twist from there. Let's go for one more breath here, inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to really cause the twist with pressure into your knee, hip, floor. And then start to unwind. We'll press those palms together. Pull your hands down, pull your ears away from your shoulders, and reach the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Nice deep breath. So this pose is an alignment pose, right? This is here to help us feel the alignment, because when we push down, we can really feel the spine lifting up. One more thing that's alignment is this mudra here with thumbs up. So let's do thumbs up mudra just to find that first position of the spine, the lengthened spine. Thumbs up. Now pull your elbows down towards your hips and feel yourself lengthen. And all of this resistance that you're creating by pulling down and reaching up all at the same time is making space between your vertebrae. Okay, excellent. So we'll come into rock pose. And here we really have more access to the hips here. So we'll be tipping the pelvic bowl forward and then noticing how the bend goes all the way up. And then tipping the pelvic bowl back and noticing how the bend goes all the way up. So this is only one way to move the spine, right? We're moving it from the bottom to the top. So see if you can slow it down to where when you tip the pelvic bowl, then you feel the spine bend forward or backwards, just sequentially from one vertebrae to the next all the way up. Tipping the pelvic bowl and then feeling the bend go all the way up. And so this is what we typically call a cat-cow, right? Because this bend comes from the pelvis and goes all the way up the spine. You can use your hands on your knees here to assist, but just really taking the time. I know we do this all the time, but take the time to really feel into this and just notice the articulation. Allow your head, you can allow your head to kind of sway and be like the last little flag thing that moves with the sway. And so if you get really curious here, you can notice, well, where am I actually, at what point in my cat or my cow am I actually changing the movement of the pelvis? And so when we're in rock pose, it's usually when we've done a wave all the way up, so you're completely done by the time you shift. But that's not always the case in some of these movements. So it's just something interesting to kind of notice, that we get to complete the full wave when we do rock pose. And we're nice and grounded here, so this is a really nice place to feel the full and complete cat and cow. All right, so let's take a tabletop position. And now we're gonna play with C-curving the spine. And I know we do this one all the time too, but we're gonna slow it down too. Okay, so we're gonna first take the hips off to the side. So if I'm moving my hips to the right, then I can start to sway and move the spine all the way up in a wave. So first move the hips to the side and then move the wave all the way up the spine. And you're gonna notice that there is a recoil. So let's just notice that recoil too. So push the hips to the side and then take that wave all the way up the spine and notice the recoil. Take it to the side, move it all the way up the spine, and then just notice what has to happen. And we notice this in animals. I think I see this in the puppies like a lot, because you can just see their bodies move. But it's such an interesting thing, right? We actually, we don't move in one full wave here before we start another movement. So this is just another interesting thing to know. But let's go ahead and do this a couple more times, not to our fullest extent, just to where we can really notice what's happening. Get really curious about it. Gripping the ground really helps to add resistance to this. And so we're noticing the recoil still before we move to the next side. I hope that makes sense. And now we're going to try to put it all together so that we're just doing a C-curve and then going directly into the other side. So your hips are swaying from one side to the next and your spine is just doing whatever it does. It's C-curving, but let's make the C-curve just the point at the very top of the movement before the hips sway the other way. So just noticing into this distinction, and it is different. It's different, right? It's different from noticing the recoil, swaying the hips to the side and then taking that bend all the way up the spine. A few more times. All right, and then we come to our disco kitties. And you can just move intuitively here. This is your opportunity. The bend here also, the movement begins at the pelvic bowl, and we're just doing pelvic bowl rotations here. So we're noticing how the pelvic bowl rotations affect the spine. And that's essentially the cat-cow, or I mean the disco kitty. But you can kind of notice that you have access to helping it along by pressing into one hand or the other. So notice if you press into the hand that the spine is moving towards, you can kind of enhance the bend, the stretchiness of this disco kitty. Let's go the other way and play with that one. Notice how your pelvic movement is guiding the actual swaying of the spine. And then notice how you can press into your hands, pressing and pulling with the hands as they're connected to the ground, using the resistance of the ground to cause the bend to go deeper. So this resistance is absolutely imperative when it comes to getting more bendy, you know, enhancing your flexibility. I like to add my neck very last to the disco kitties, just making sure that it's finally at a point where it's like, oh, everything is pretty smooth, you know? Okay, so let's go ahead and come back onto our knees and we'll just shake out the wrists. So we've done quite a bit of like spinal movement so far, and so now we're gonna get into a little bit of bending just because we might as well use it, right? And so we'll thread the needle here, doing a little bit more stretching. So we'll take that arm and reach it up towards the ceiling. So we've got tabletop and one arm reaching up, and then we're gonna take it through between the arm and the leg. And now just playing with, where do you feel this? Can you shift your hips in the direction opposite your front hand? And just see if that can enhance the bend and the twist in your spine. Pressing into the top hand should help also enhance this movement, this stretch. And let's go for a couple more breaths here. Now really push into your top hand a lot, and really take your hips in the direction opposite your hands. One more breath. And then we're coming back out, reaching that arm back up towards the ceiling, and then we can lower it down. Okay. Press your hands into the ground. Reset. It's always really good to reset back into that first action, that first movement of the spine. Reach the other hand up and thread your needle. And again, we're pushing the hips away from the hands, gliding the hips off to the other side, and breathing, slow, steady, smooth breaths, feeling into this side, noticing how it's different from the other side. In what body parts do you feel this more than you did on the other side? In what tissues? How does it feel differently? What are the qualities that are different? And pressing into that top hand to really feel some resistance from the ground that's forcing you deeper into this twist. Pressing that top hand forward and away from your face. Tractioning it on the ground like we do with our feet. And keep pushing your hips off to the side and keep pushing your hand into the ground for another couple of breaths here. We'll take one more breath, really pushing, like you're trying to take apart the floor between your hand and your knee. And then unwinding and twisting again, reaching hand up towards the ceiling. And then we'll come back to our tabletop. Press your hands into the ground, really feeling a reset, that structural connection with the ground, resetting your whole spine. So I like to press into the ground. You can add some traction, pulling the knees away from the hands, reaching through the crown of your head with a flat spine. All right, and then we tip the pelvic bowl forward, slide the hands forward, and place the chest on the ground. So we're in puppy pose. So you want to have your chest really close to your knees, and you want to have your chin on the ground. Looking forward. You can always add a block here, maybe not today, but anytime you're doing this to add flexibility, you can add things under your chin. Try to roll your arms out so that your elbow pits are pointing forward so that there's external rotation through your arms. And feel, where do you feel this? Where do you feel this stretch? Have your breath be slow, steady, and smooth. Let's do 3 more breaths here. And now we're going to slide the hand over and then slide the other one. So we're kind of taking little tiny slidey steps over to the side until you feel a pretty nice stretch through your side body. And then breathe and relax down into your puppy pose. Two more breaths here. And we start to slide the hand over the other way and then slide the opposite one so that we're going all the way to the other side. Sideways puppy pose and breathe. Couple more breaths here, breathing into your side ribs. And then we start to move it forward or side to back to the front. Release your chest down to the ground just for one more breath here. And then take your hips back and drag your fingers across the ground as you roll your spine back over top of your hips.
Chin towards chest.
Oh, I forgot to mention that we could probably use a strap. You can, but you don't have to have it either. So I'll show you what I'm talking about, and you may or may not want to have a strap. So we're gonna move through the spine in both the cat-cow direction and the opposite direction while standing. And we're gonna use, if you want to, some help from a strap that goes under your feet and then you're grabbing it by your sides. So the first thing that we're gonna do is just find some length in the spine. I like to use the strap to help me with this. So it's just like a pulling at your strap to lift your chest up. So you're like pulling, lifting your chest, and then reaching the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. It doesn't have to be a strap too. It could just be like a scarf or like any old thing. So we're pulling, lifting the chest, pulling the elbows towards the hips, and reaching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Chin glides over top of the spine. Super long spine. Shoulder blades are pulling down and slightly together to lift that chest up. Pulling at the, like bending the arms to pull at the strap. And then feel your spine getting taller, like you're just reaching the spine long and up towards the ceiling. One more breath. And then relax. Whew. Wow, after doing all of that spine stuff, that actually feels really nice. Okay, so the next part. Now this is a strange movement for me, but I know people who think that this is much more natural. So it's like almost half and half. I'm curious, and I'm gonna ask you after we're done, so please pay attention to which of these movements feels the most natural to you, okay? So the first one that we're gonna do is taking the bend down the back, down the body, which this is the waterfall movement. And this is what we use in contortion, but usually we use it to go into a back bend. Today we're gonna use it to go into a forward fold, and then we're gonna go into a back bend with it with our knees bent. So we're going chin towards chest, and we roll down in this way, all the way to forward fold. Then we take and we bend at the neck first. So the neck bends first, and then take the bend all the way up to standing. And notice what's occurring here. And you can use the kind of assistance from your strap. So we're just gonna go through this at your own breath pace. It's exhaling to dive down, bend your knees, and inhaling to round back up. Exhaling down, inhaling up. Keep breathing. Keep moving through your waterfall. Just a couple more like this, and you can go at whatever pace feels good to you. If you slow it down, you can really tell what's going on in your body. All right, excellent. So now we move in cat-cow. Okay, so we tip the pelvic bowl forward and belly button comes forward, head goes up, and then we go into our forward fold. Tip the pelvic bowl back, back body opens, stack the spine on top. Belly button comes forward, head goes up, fold at the hips, tip the pelvic bowl back as we come back up to standing. And then we're just gonna keep rolling through it. using that little bit of help from the strap to just grab on your way down. Woo! Yeah, so we can do this one just a couple more times then. Really nice. Okay, let's come on down to seated. We've done so many things today that are very new and different, but also the same, right? So thank you for playing with me with all of these movements. Let's go ahead and just do a little cool down just to make sure that we're nice and soft in our endeavor towards going to sleep tonight. So we'll slowly roll back onto the ground, one vertebrae at a time. Feeling your back nicely connected with the earth, feeling that solidity of the ground underneath you. Pull your knees in towards your chest. This time we're not taking the head off the ground. We're just gonna take the chin towards the chest so that the neck lengthens out. And you can push your head back into the ground just a little bit as you pull your knees in towards your chest and your elbows down towards your hips. Squeeze your core, pull everything in. And then we're gonna reach up like morning stretch. Reach, 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 reach. Maybe wiggle your toes. Maybe rotate your wrists and ankles. You can push the hips from side to side. Breathing, deep breaths in and out of your nose. Reach with right arm and right leg. Reach, reach, reach. Reach, 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 reach. A deep breath. And then exhale to release it. Relax down to the ground. Other side. Reach, reach, reach. Reach, 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 reach with both arm and leg. Take a deep breath. And release it. We'll take our legs up, stacking on top of the hips. And we're just gonna take the hands and interlace them behind the head. And we're just doing little tiny crunches here. Reaching the elbows towards the knees. Maybe kind of acting like you're trying to reach the elbows towards the ankles. Little crunches. And then lay back down. And then we'll rock and roll up to seated. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. This is really fun for me. I'm gonna go ahead and